You are listening to Collective Imagination, a D&D actual play podcast that takes place entirely in our collective imagination. Today we continue getting to know the Copper Guard. Last episode, our first episode, we were introduced to Fern, the Druid of the Spores, as well as Zorvan, a dark elf cleric of the City of Half-Light. We continue this episode by introducing you to two of the party's younger members, Aden Deckard, played by Matt Park, and Lumira Nailo, played by Sarah Coulson. Let's start with Aden, a Fire Genasi bard, as I mentioned, played by Matt Park. He was raised in the town of Raven's Perch. But as he started adventuring, more and more details of his past came under question.
Who can an adventurer trust? In a line of work like this, filled with equal measures of danger and treasure, one would hope that they could trust their comrades, or their party, so to speak. But how could one entrust their life to those around them if they had only just met a month prior? How about a week? How about the day before? Well, if not your party, at the very least, one would hope that they could trust themselves. But what if your very memory begins to betray you? A dimly lit room comes alight all at once. It's the unmistakable green glow of Everlight lanterns coming alive. Our heroes have just returned to Argent's capital city of Silverdeep from a quest in which one hero had experienced something unexplainable. Impossible memories of him living a life far different from his own. This hero is seated at a table, across from Oracle Peridot of the Agate Chantry. He pulls his cloak back, his shaved head is tattooed with intricate sigildry, and he looks at our hero with striking, blank white eyes. And Matt, if you could please describe the person he sees.
Aden is a Fire Genasi. He is on the younger side. He has a, I want to say maroon or a darker crimson skin tone, high cheekbones, a middle part, almost looks like a Korean pop star, but is not. And he is wearing a white blouse with some green long pants, and a leather shoulder guard, and a one-sided cloak on his left shoulder.
Okay. So, the appropriate garbs for just having returned from an adventure.
Absolutely.
And to put into a little bit of context, it was pretty much the same day of arrival since the long, arduous quest that you all had gone on that unfortunately wasn't recorded because we are joining this party in the middle of a campaign.
Yes. Unfortunate.
But Peridot, the Oracle, looks over at Aden, just kind of scanning up and down. He kind of refers to a couple of papers, and you can see he's been scrawling on something for the last couple hours or so. It's very chicken scratch. It's very tough to discern exactly what he's been writing about. But you know at least it's been on kind of the mysterious case of Aden Deckard. He says, now it is something most peculiar. These memories that you've been experiencing, they're completely true. But the timing of which is impossible. Please, elaborate.
You know, Ori, the last time we talked...
I'm not fond of this nickname.
Well, you let me call you that last time,
okay.
So I'm going to continue. You said something interesting that I remember my childhood, however... I had a vision, and you said that was someone that I knew.
Well, that's what's so impossible about it. And he kind of stands up, very detective style, just kind of slaps down these papers. At some point in your memory, there's overlap. It seems like you have two memories wrestling for vindication. It's, up to us, I think, in this moment to determine what is exactly correct. So let's work backwards to find out where this overlap begins. Describe the last month.
Oh, that's a loaded question.
To the best of your recollection.
Well, I was with my father in Raven's Perch, and the town was attacked by some... I guess criminals. I'm not too sure. They weren't good people.
We've identified them as cultists from the opposite end of the world. They are searching for your kind. I'm sure you're aware of your elemental predispositions.
I mean, I knew I was different. I didn't know anyone else like me.
Well, it's a good kind of different. You seem to be more attuned than others to the magic that exists within everything. Let's continue on from there. This group of strangers, you're now traveling together. Continue.
Yes, and from Raven's Perch, we were almost like delivery people, I guess. And we were taking the children that was with us back to where they came from. And then there was a witch. Apparently we had to fight that witch, and we won. Here we are.
Now, of course, all of this is over the course of a month.
Yes, it was a very long time.
So we can at least establish that these memories that you've been experiencing have not existed since the beginning of the excitement in your life.
No, not at all.
Well, then let's work a little bit backwards. Tell me about your childhood.
I would say that I've had a pretty normal childhood. I had a mom and a dad, and they loved me a lot. And I spent a lot of time with my mother, who taught me how to communicate with people. And that's where my love of music came from. I feel like I've always struggled maybe to have friends, but that's because of how I looked, not necessarily because of... I would also imagine being the mayor's son isn't the easiest to also be friends with.
Okay, now on the subject of your mother teaching you about communication, the lute, this is where it gets a bit messy, because you mentioned that in a memory your mother had given it to you as a child. When we were scanning over your memories earlier, your father had given it to you before you left the town. So whoever had modified anything, it's strong to reach back enough into childhood, but it's sloppy that they've created some discrepancies.
I remember when we left the town, my father gave me the lute.
Yes, but you also have memory of receiving the lute as a child.
I don't understand. I remember both.
You know, arcane memory modification, it's possible. It's even common. But for someone to have been able to modify so far back, that requires an incredible amount of strength.
How do I know it's real then? Because they both feel real.
And that is the point of magic, is it not? Now this one memory, this is where it's tough to place, because it could have only occurred in the last 5 years or so. Describe it for me again. This is where we're going to do something different. Roll a wisdom saving throw. Oh, gosh.
Not very high.
Oh. Do you feel like it's a number in which modifiers would save you?
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh, then just read me the number, dog.
4. My wisdom is low.
As you even attempt to recount the memory, you feel your vision begin to fade and blur just a slight amount as you hear, Aden, but it all muffles. You awake to the sound of explosions far above you as it rattles through the thick stone that's keeping you seemingly underground. Dust falls onto your face as this catacomb of sorts blocks you in, but still has some faint attachment to the world above. You hear a voice. Sojin.
I look around and I'm kind of freaking out because it's dark and I don't know where I am, but I can hear the rustling of things.
You see a figure ahead of you. Looks kind of like you. Same color skin, like that dark magenta, but there's something coursing on their veins that's providing a little bit of light. As you kind of fix your eyes just a little bit, having been knocked out for a moment, your eyes fix back on a figure who looks strikingly similar, a bit older, and wiry, brightly colored, almost like cinders and ash. Almost kind of like an afro. But she looks down at you and says, "Get up."
Where am I?
Oh man, You hit your head a little bit too hard. All right, let's go. And she grabs you by the hand.
I stand up and I follow her, but as she's pulling me, who are you?
Okay, I don't know how hard you hit your head, but Primordia is closing in above. I'm going to need you to get your senses a little bit quicker because they're hot on our tail.
I guess I'll try my best.
And that's all I can expect from you. I'll be on ahead. Cover the rear.
Okay.
She runs off, and sure enough, you hear the muffled shouting of people chasing down the hallway. You can hear the footsteps before you see the figures, providing a little bit of jump now that you know that they're coming. I need you to roll initiative and do so with advantage.
20.
With a 20, you're able to get something in before they crest and turn the corner. You can get a clearer picture of what's around you. There's that same green Everlight lantern glow that kind of lines the walls very sparsely. It's a very claustrophobic catacomb as opposed to the very spacious catacombs. I don't know. Maybe a couple feet by a couple feet around, just barely tall enough to reach over your head. Even though you are short enough to get through, you still like feel the need to crouch. It's like that low. But as you hear a couple figures coming, what do?
I take a deep breath and I somehow get this urge to cast something protective.
Mm-hmm.
And in front of me, I instinctually cast Cloud of Daggers to separate us.
Just as they turn the corner and see you for the first time, one rears up their hand getting ready to cast a spell, but as you said, like it's just emerging from your form, this huge, invisible almost, but still reflective, completely filling the hallways, is a bunch of strikes and slashes, barring and separating the way between you and these people.
Oh, I'm getting out of there.
Yeah.
And I'm going after the lady.
Yeah. I'd say it's enough to kind of deter them from being too hot on your tail. You continue to run down the hallway. What's going on through your mind?
I'm freaking out. I have no idea where I am. I have no idea what the lady was talking about, but I know I'm definitely in danger.
As you're trying to get your mind around the situation, you stumble upon that actual part of the memory that you were in, that you had experienced back when fighting the witch. As you see this figure who now in a good amount of light, you get a full understanding of their form. There's a couple like swords and shields like placed on their back. She kind of has her hands up towards this enormous sigil, kind of like a teleportation sigil, but there's some key differences. She's completely mentally preoccupied as you enter the room, but you do see one other person who you figure at this point that she caught up with. This person has a cloak obscuring majority of their visage, of their form, but you see that they have their hands up against this sigil, almost like they're both using their magic to try and contain something. This person's cloak is the peculiar part of it, though, as it almost fades into like the darkness surrounding them, littered with stars of the night sky. As they're both kind of preoccupied trying to contain this sigil, what do?
I don't want to interrupt them because it looks like they're fully concentrating. I'll see if I can use like detect magic or maybe even use like a clairvoyance to watch the hall behind us or where we came from, just to make sure that there's no one following us still. And I'll just kind of wait because I feel like if I interrupt, it'll ruin whatever, I don't want to say momentum, but whatever is happening, right? I don't want to pull them out of that because it seems important enough, and I'm young, but I'm not stupid enough to not recognize what's happening.
You kind of take a look back down the hallway where you came from. You're not hearing anybody approaching just yet. You figured that the Cloud of Daggers that you had cast previously, for the most part, did its job. Do you cast Detect Magic, you said?
Yeah.
As you cast Detect Magic, the room around you lights up. You see that sigil upon the wall has an intense hue of conjuration. You see that from their hands, both this figure of the night sky and this person who looks a lot like you, there's abjurative magic emanating from both of them. As you see where they're standing, this woman who looks a lot like you, standing in the center, the person with the cloak of the night sky to their left, there's an empty space to the right.
I approach the empty space to the right, and almost like my body instinctually reacting, starts to glow in almost like a tattoo, and magic starts to pour out of my hands.
Roll an Arcana check. I need you to clear a 15.
Clean 15, but it was with
some modifiers.
Yeah.
Okay, what'd you get?
17.
As you stand to the right of this person, you kind of raise your hands up, and tattoos on your arm begin to glow, as you described. The magic begins to pour out of you in the same abjurative glow. You don't know exactly what it is, this being a memory. And there are some details that are still obscured, but as this magic pours from you, you feel something pulling you back to the body that you are in. You look over to your left to see this figure, and they're smiling at you. And she smiles in a way that carries the pride of a mother. Aden, shaking you back awake. You're laying down on the floor of this room where the Oracle was sitting across from you just a few moments ago. Okay, maybe you're not quite ready to talk about this, but we can always do so later.
No. I feel... Why does it feel like I'm two different people?
Okay, I have no idea what you're talking about. We can approach these memories some other time. Let's talk about the loot again. Would you mind grabbing it?
I guess.
As you open up, you see the loot, as you have a couple times. But you see it with a newfound recollection. Written inside the case is a note that you saw the first time that you received it, addressed from a Mr. Night Sky.
The next character to introduce to you is Lumira Nailo, a high elf wizard of the city of Enore. Lumira comes from a prestigious background filled with wizards of immeasurable power, but she herself has had some difficulty getting to the place where she is today.
There is a city deep within the elven nation of Adraval, built atop the branches and trunk of an impossibly large tree. The capital city of Enore, split into 3 tiers, clearly marking the lines between wealth and poverty, between the highborn and the lowly, and most importantly, the lines that separate those adept in the arcane from the common folk who have held nary a whisper of magic. Citizens of the Copper Circle, impolitely referred to as the groundlings, till the land and harvest the produce that the nobility often enjoy in abundant quantities, as they themselves struggle to scrape together a few coin to make it to the end of the week. Their mercantile goods are typically shuffled upwards towards the Silver Circle, where taverns and guild halls litter the branches, illuminated by arcane everlights that flutter through the air. But the true crown of Enore is found within the Gold Circle, which sits on a plateau that rests above the treetops. Its manicured topiaries and rushing fountains dispersed among the lavish mansions of nobility, diplomats, and an abundance of archmagi, the greatest of which serve as the renowned Emeritus Arcane of the Weaver's Circle, an institution that perfectly embodies the social division Enore has long kept intact. If the Gold Circle is the crown, then the Weaver's Circle is the blinding diadem at its center. And within that center, one of the Emeritus Arcane is teaching his protege. It is said that the illusory spell Weird is the highest form of magic that could be mustered by a mere mortal, but there are rumors and accounts of even greater forms of magic. Magic only capable through the divine indwelling of the paragons. Of course, I'm speaking of And he kind of looks behind. He says, Lumira?
Oh, sorry.
Are you paying attention?
Mostly.
Thayer G. And he writes that in big letters on the board. Lumira, I cannot make illusion magic much more exciting than it already is, and if you can't regard it for the excitement that it is, then I'm not sure what I could do for you.
Well, I mean, I'm here to learn. I think that's what's exciting about it. Not necessarily the type of magic as much as that it is magic.
Yes, and I'm confident that that drive to learn is what brought you here in the first place, but it is not what will get you to a higher station. It is knowledge itself, not the pursuit of it.
Why are you so concerned with that? I mean, all I want to do is learn.
That can at least be said for one person in this room. And he looks over to your left, where a young half-elf about your age, kicked back in a chair, very obviously asleep. Well, Regius Aldwalin over here can't be bothered as he slaps a ruler down on his desk, startling him awake. Sorry. Aldwalin, of course, is the Regius Arcane of Illusion, the only student that Kaiwin should have. You hear another voice from over by the doorframe. A voice that you very much recognize. Kaiwin, what is Lumira doing here?
I think Lumira's just... she can't talk.
She continues on, not even making eye contact or regarding you as a person in this room. Aldwalin seems completely checked out, yet your ramblings are targeted to one who isn't your student. Well, of course, headmistress, this kind of stuff is important for a budding wizard to know, and she interrupts him. Budding wizards are for use among the groundlings. They're a waste of time to a wizard of your talent, Emeritus Kaiwin. She says that last word, Emeritus, just kind of very pointedly, of like, remember who you are. Lumira, gather your things. I won't hesitate to have you escorted should I see you here again.
You see she just quietly puts her head down, picks up her books and things.
As you're picking up your books, she kind of walks inside. She's carrying something. And in the midst of you placing your books away and trying to get out of that environment as quickly as you can, she says, Regius Aldwalin, puts this leather-wrapped, what could possibly be a tome. Please pass this on to Regius Alara. Grabs it. Yes, headmistress. I'd say it's at this point that you're starting to scurry out a little bit. Without looking in your direction, but before you're able to get out the door, Aden says, you're too old for these games, Lumira. Alara would never act out in such a shameful display like you've done today.
I don't think she has any words. I think what she's going to do is she's going to kind of hurriedly rush out the room, take a left, and then take like a left down the next corner where she's like hidden from view. And I think with her things like clutched in her hands, she just feels a pain and kind of like an emptiness that the space between her arms and her chest isn't actually a value. It's just books that she's been studying over and over again and still can't get. She doesn't have a tome of her own, and she can't even... There's nothing that she can do to deserve that tome.
As you're kind of like standing two lefts away, you hear a bit of muffled talking from down the hall where you came from, which turns into a little bit of a muffled shouting, which turns into a slammed door as Kaiwin rushes past you, kind of putting on a scarf and coat of his own, not seeing you.
Do I get the sense that he's like going after me, or that he's also kind of like just leaving the situation?
I'm going to say there's not so much that you can discern with how quickly that he left.
Okay, I'm going to follow after him.
Do you say anything to gather his attention?
I'll just say, Uncle Kaiwin.
That's enough that I can do for today, Lumira. I'm sorry.
Well, I just wanted to apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't know that she was going to be there. I thought maybe she would have been preoccupied with something else, and I thought maybe it would be a good time.
He kind of stops as you're saying that and turns. He goes, you have nothing to apologize for.
Maybe you can teach me somewhere else?
I would love to. I really would. I do owe something to the protege that was appointed to me, and perhaps in the pursuit of your self-improvement, I have been somewhat negligent of Aldwalin. And you do see a little bit of a internal strife, just kind of at the desire to teach someone who has a thirst for knowledge and the desire to teach someone who has been handed everything. You know what? Maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
I can try and come find you afterwards. It cannot be on these grounds. Of course, we'll both have an earful from your mother.
Yes. Well, I'll keep my schedule free for tomorrow then, and you know where to come find me. I'll just be in my study. As she says study, it's not her study. It's her room.
He kind of gives like a, yes, of course. I will see you then. I'd say as you continue walking, it's a couple minutes more walking through the golden circle of Anuhea that you do hear another voice from behind you. Lumira. And running in a huff is a small, diminutive stature, but very sprightly Alara, your younger sister.
Oh my goodness, how have you been?
Better. I have a little bit that mother has kind of put in my responsibility, but I've been doing well. You notice kind of on her person is that same leather-bound case that your mother had passed to Aldwalin to give to her. And I think just that alone has a little bit of a sting. She could have just easily passed that to you and said, take this.
Yeah.
But there was like an intention in the, I'd rather go through the official to skirt around you than to legitimize you in any way.
Right. Mother caught me again with Uncle Kywin. He said that I guess Oldie hasn't been doing very well with his studies, but he said that he would teach me again tomorrow, just not here, because you know how Mother is.
She's kind of like clutching onto like her books, looking down as you're talking, and a beat of silence just kind of rings out between you before she kind of turns back and says, I'm sorry about Mom. I can't excuse her behaviors, but you've known her far longer than I have.
It's not your fault at all.
She kind of gives a bit of a smile and says, well, at the very least, she won't be coming home tonight.
Oh, why's that?
Probably some late work. It's why she's handed this to me. She swings it around like a bit casually, right?
What is that?
She says, I don't know. I can't even look into it myself. She kind of demanded that no prying eyes or peering ears, but if it was so important to her, it would at least have an alarm. But I've detected magic on it myself, and there's 0 wards on this thing.
Can she like kind of try to figure out what the book might be?
It's the unmistakable size of a spellbook. There's the 2 buckles over the 2 sides to keep the entire thing clasped in an enclosure, but one of those buckles kind of extends further to kind of be able to like hold it over your shoulder. It's done so in a way that like you would see with a student. It's like the backpack that every student had, but for the spellbook. As you're kind of inspecting it, she can tell that your attention is elsewhere. I guess Mom was a little right about prying eyes.
Where are we supposed to be taking it?
Into her study.
I mean, I'm sure you're busy. Don't worry about it. I can take it back. You said she gave you other things to do. I mean...
I wouldn't want to draw Mother's ire or anything, and I don't know if there's a way magically that she could know, but for my own conscience, at the very least, I should probably be the one. You can accompany me if you'd like.
Okay, yeah.
It takes a bit more of walking before it gets to about evening, till you guys arrive at your home. Before you reach the front door, you smell the scent of a nice hearty stew kind of filling the entirety of the house. But Alara is already standing over on the stairs near the front entrance. Come on.
Can I carry it? Is it okay?
Fine.
Okay.
She follows you up towards your mom's study.
So this is the first time that she's ever actually held like a wizard's tome in her hands. I think it's something that she's kind of idolized and wanted for herself for so long. And as she kind of takes it, it feels like oddly awkward and natural at the same time. I think the book feeling of it feels like any kind of normal book that she'd always be carrying around, right? But it's also like the leather and kind of like the older smell of it just feels like kind of unworldly to her. Like it's almost like something that's like new and exciting. And
I'd say mixed in with those feelings, there's also like the sensation of doing something wrong. It's another wizard's tome.
It's another piece of magic that is kind of like, there's no room for her, you know?
As you carry it along and walk over to your mother's study, do you open the door or does Alara?
I think she would be following Alora, so I think Alora would open the door.
As it opens up, it's kind of golden hour at this point. And the golden circle is the only part of Inori that gets legitimate sunlight because the rest sit on or below the branches. Opposite the door is a far-facing window. And between you and the north wall, from where you're entering in, is your mother's desk. You see the dust kind of floating through the air in the sunlight as this entire study has gone largely unused. Because how often is your mom even home? There are countless books lining the walls to your left and right. As you walk over to where the desk is, what do you do with the tome?
I think she's going to hold on to it for a little bit longer. And I think it's just been so long since she's been in this room that she kind of almost wants to like savor the moment. You know what I mean? I think she's just going to hold the tome and kind of like scan all of the books on the wall behind her desk.
As you're doing so, Alara says, I think you regard her too much for how much she tosses you aside.
It's easy for you to say.
It's actually incredibly difficult.
Why is that?
You're worth so much more than that. And Mom doesn't see it.
I mean, she doesn't have to. She hardly looks in my direction, but...
I'm gonna say you're saying this as your eyes continues to like trail across the libraries and the books. But as you reach that point in the sentence, you kind of see Alara, and she is crying.
Oh, Alara? Why are you overcome with emotion? What's going on?
She kind of wipes at her eyes. She goes, hardly overcome, but it does matter what Mom says, what she thinks, because you'll never be able to reach the potential that I know, that Dad knows, that Emeritus Kaiwan knows you can reach, so long as Mom holds the keys to the gate.
Why do you think I'm not good enough? You say that I have potential, but...
No, it's the opposite. It's that you're too good.
Now that seems like a cop-out answer. I don't think that's...
Before universities, before any institutions were formalized for the education of wizards, it was real. It was magic. It was wizards traveling the world for the purpose of learning more, not reading it out of a book that somebody else experienced.
Can I make an insight check on Alara right now?
Yeah.
19.
With a 19, you've grown up with your sister for practically your whole life. And I think it's easy to forget that she is about 12 years old, considering how she carries herself as the prodigy that she is. But she speaks with a knowingness that only a diviner could speak with.
You always say things that I don't understand, but I'm just supposed to trust you. And how can I do that when I don't see in myself what you see in me? Whether it be me now or me down the road, I'm still stuck with me. I think with that, she's going to attempt to put the book down and quickly turn away and leave the room.
Alara's standing between you and the door, but she kind of steps aside a little bit, and as you walk down the hall, she says, I do hope you'd see yourself the way that I see you. You eat dinner, and you head to your room, which you've affectionately called your study. What does it look like?
I think it's pretty small for as large of a house as they have. I think that she has a really tall window kind of in the corner of the room with this kind of like a window seat. There's a bench there where she can sit and read in the sunlight. And there's a tree right outside her window. She has a small, probably like twin size bed with like a gray comforter, and like lining the walls are notes that she's either written or that other people have written, or maps or book pages that she felt like really stood out to her. And then she just has like a lot of books on the floor, just like piled. It's pretty dusty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this calculated chaos, what is Lumira's mental state?
I think she's just really wrestling with like wizards her age are doing things, whether that be studying and growing or leaving and growing that way. People in her family don't leave. They stay here and they study. Right. So she's always kind of like struggled with this identity where it's like she should be getting better where she is now and not having to leave and having to experience like all of the other adventurers have to. She should be able to stay and she should be able to learn and have talent. Yeah, sure, she knows all the words, but when it comes to casting the spells, it's like there's nothing that kind of comes out, you know? So she's just very flustered, I think, and also just like really embarrassed about her mom. And also like, what was that tome? Why wouldn't she want anyone to see it? Why would she give it to somebody else to give to Alora? Why wouldn't she trust me with it? Yeah. I mean, I am her daughter. Sure, I'm not like some prodigy, but you can tell me to go put something in your study.
Yeah. As you kind of wrestle with these thoughts, tossing and turning, there is a moment in which, in the midst of all of that, you're able to kind of get some sleep. In your dream, you're kind of standing in this infinite void. You take a step and the floor ripples underneath you before you see just a very faint light off in the distance. Lumira. Lumira.
Hello?
You wake up, look around your room.
She's gonna cast dancing lights. There's 3 orbs that just kind of appear at the top of her ceiling in the middle of the room. Almost like too bright because she's kind of afraid.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing.
She's gonna look around her room, like underneath her bed, like all through the books and stuff.
After a thorough check, you find nothing.
She's gonna cast Detect Magic.
As you cast Detect Magic, there are a couple, little knickknacks and doodads that have some, like, little bit of magic. But there is a sickly green energy pouring through your open bedroom door.
I thought I shut that. She's gonna follow.
You kind of follow this trail of overwhelming magic emanating from the study.
She's gonna kind of check around her to see if anybody's there, if nobody else is awake.
Nobody. You look back over at the study and see a closed door calling out to you.
I think she's gonna put her hand on the doorknob.
It feels cold. Just a bit.
And then she's gonna turn away and try to go back to her room and lay down.
Lumira.
She'll turn around, kind of like abruptly about face, and go and open the door kind of like in a rush, in a flurry, not caring about the sound she makes.
You see the exact same room that you left. Now in the moonlight, that same floating dust of a room just worn from disuse, and an overwhelming source sitting on that desk.
She's going to turn around and close the door behind her, and then she's going to kind of like go up to the book, kind of waddle, and then like crouch down so that she's eye level with the book. And she's going to say, "How do you know my name?"
It's still in its leather-bound case.
And she's going to start to kind of open it.
The buckles come undone, and you kind of open the casing a bit. A wizard's spellbook usually is decorated in a manner that reflects that of the wizard. You've seen some that have this beautiful opalescent filigree, like around the binding and then the cover and the spine of it. Some are decorated with like metallic corners, just kind of armored, like that of a war mage. And as you kind of pull it out, the first thing you notice is that it's cold to the touch. And you see a pitch black, featureless leather tome.
She's going to flip through it.
You reach to touch it itself. You feel something click. As you kind of run your hands over it, it's siphoning warmth from you. And as you open to the first page, you see that it's blank. Until, etching into the page like flame, you read The Grimoire of Aden in a Karen. You flip more and more. As you do a bit slowly, you see it opens to the page and all the text burns back in. Like there's something over it that doesn't want to be viewed. You see a couple words. Eidolon, Nightwalker, Incarnium. One word that you did hear earlier today, Theurgy. And as you flip to the end, before you close it, it opens back to the front page. And you see that the name says The Grimoire of Lumira Nailo.
You want me to take you. I think she's going to close it and leave quietly with the intention to go back to her room and read a little bit into those words.
I'd say as you close the book, with the intention of getting up to leave, Alara's standing at the door.
Hi.
You see there's kind of tear streaks down her eyes again. And it dawns on you that it is something that you've seen throughout her life. She's not crying, but some diviners have a byproduct of their future sight. Lumira, I say this with all of my heart. You need to go.
Where?
Anywhere but here.
Why? What is that book?
This book. She kind of steps in, closes the door behind her, and walks up to you. There is potential. Hundreds of thousands, millions of possibilities between you and this book. But if you stay here, there's one future, one possibility. And she says that with a shake in her voice.
Do I have to go now?
Mom will be back in the morning. She throws her arms around you.
Oh, stop. Don't get soft on me. You knew this was going to happen.
Please, no. Just listen. I hope that in one of those futures, whichever were to be true, that in that future you can see and become the person that I always knew you could be.
Oh, I do hope you know.
Shut up. Stop. I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you so much for joining us this week on Collective Imagination. We encourage you to join our Patreon and become a Silver Knight. There is a lot more in-depth versions of these episodes available on our Patreon, as well as so much more exclusive content, all available for just $5 a month. Patreon.com/Our Collective Imagination. That's OUR Collective Imagination. You can also follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, at Our Collective Imagination there as well. This podcast is created and distributed by Indie Union Presents and is produced and edited by me. Music and sound design by Monument Studios and creators on Upbeat. All elements have been licensed for use by this podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.